The Arizona Diamondbacks are sellers. The Baltimore Orioles are sellers. Who else is going to sell? Fred Zinkie and I will cover that coming next here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to RotoWire. Jeff Erickson here with Fred Zinkie. We are brought to you, as always, by the Blue Wire Network and the NFFC. Very excited to be doing the Beat Jeff Erickson draft tomorrow night and the RotoWire Online Championship at the NFFC. So very excited about that. More coming on that later on, but it's not quite the eve of the trade deadline, but we're less than 48 hours now, Fred. We're starting to see a trickle of saves. Of trades. We saw one big trade last week, Josh Naylor, a medium trade with Ryan McMahon after that to the Yankees. Who else is going to be dealt with? We're going to be dealing with that. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, I was looking at some data from recent trade deadlines earlier today, and if this holds, we'll probably between now and I guess it'd be 49 hours from our recording at 6 o'clock on Thursday Eastern on Thursday. We'll probably see upwards of 30 to 40 trades. So we're probably going to see. We just saw the Blue Jays trade for Seranthony Dominguez, not the biggest trade that we'll see, but we're probably going to see some big, some small, a lot with relievers. But we're probably going to see 30 or 40 trades in the next 40 to 49 hours. So it's a pretty exciting time. And then we're going to see none for months. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Let's talk about that Seranthony Dominguez trade. May feel small, but it has an impact. For me, especially, AL Tout Wars, I previously traded for Felix Bautista. Rick Wolf and Glenn Colton, I almost called him Rick Glenn. That would be I worked for a guy named Rick Glenn at Montgomery Wards. He was my boss there. Really good guy. One of my first real jobs that I had as a teenager. But anyways, Rick Wolf, Glenn Colton, they previously picked up Seranthony Dominguez a month ago. And, I thought they were visionary, but he has been traded to the Jays. He probably won't close for the Jays. Maybe he'll fill in here and there if Hoffman needs a day or Hoffman's going through a rough patch, but it adds depth to a team that has, Jimmy Garcia has been hurt for a while, gives them a little bit of depth, but it also means that Andrew Kittredge, who I picked up in Tout Wars Fab this week, has a shorter path to getting saves. I'm not declaring victory yet because it could be Yenny or Cano for all we know. But the fact is, it's just one less person in the way.
Yep, you're one step closer for sure. I think that Bautista is not coming. I don't even know if Bautista will come back this year, but they're talking about Bautista being out for a long time. I think he's probably a drop in most fantasy leagues. Like unless you were really in mixed leagues. I think unless you're either have unlimited IL or you're in a really tight, really worried about your saves. But I think in NFBC style, I think Bautista will be out long enough that he's a drop. So yeah, we're going to be hunting around the Orioles bullpen for the next 48 hours and up till Sunday when there's fab runs. You got ahead of the game in AL Tout by grabbing Kittredge, which I think was really smart. The Orioles, they will produce some save chances. This isn't the Rockies. Like the Orioles now are, I think it's 15th in baseball. Yeah, 15th. Sorry, they're 15th in baseball, so exactly middle of the pack in runs scored. And that's with a lot of offensive disappointments this year. So the Orioles are a league average offense with a bad pitch, and they have a bad pitching staff for sure. But they're going to generate some save chances down the stretch. Like I said, this isn't the Rockies. So if they settle on a closer, and if you can get the right one in AL only, if they can settle on 2 closers or 3 closers and you have one of them, it's worth putting in your lineup. In a mixed league, you're going to need them to settle on 1 closer to make someone like Kittredge worth it. But that's a really good guy for people to keep their eye on in the next 48 hours.
Especially because even if he doesn't close in an AL only league, at least he has good ratios, won't kill you. You'd really rather not have a guy like that, but it's still not the end of the world. It still could be something that he could work out pretty well, but yes, you want him to get those saves. And here's the thing, bad team, how many saves are going to have? It's not a really, really bad team. They're competitive. Yep. They're not the pace-eating Rockies or anything like that. So you would think that they're at least a chance of getting, maybe 10 saves down the rest of the way. That would be nice. I agree with you. I think you can cut Felix Bautista. In fact, I did cut Felix Bautista in Tout. Even though we have 4 IL spots, you can cash in a player, and after the All-Star break, it's half of his salary times 10 as opposed to all of his salary times 10 in Fab. Still, I unfortunately have both Reese Olson and Felix Bautista that I redeemed this week. And unfortunately, both of those, in the case of Olson, the news came on Monday. So On Bautista, I probably should have done it last week, but the imaging came back yesterday, and they said that there's significant swelling in the shoulder, and he's going to be out for a considerable time. My guess is maybe all but like a week or two left. They may have him throw a couple innings just because he started the season a little behind too, but it could be all the season too for that. So I felt safe in cutting him.
Yeah, we've really hit the point of the year where a pitcher gets hurt and you're almost certainly cutting him. That thought came to me really yesterday. Like Reese Olson, he's got a shoulder strain. He's done for the year. So like they see two plus months in the amount of time that he'll be shut down and then would have to ramp up. And they're like, oh, he's done for the season. Chris Bubich also out for the season. Like we've really hit the
tough
point
one there.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're a starter and you're going to be shut down for, let's say you're going to be shut down for at least 2 weeks, which is really minimal.
Yep.
You're probably cut. Like you're going to 2 weeks to be shut down and then say 3 more weeks to get built up. And there's like 8 weeks left and you're missing 5 at least. And then who knows what you look like when you come back. You can always try to pick them back up when they're a week or 2 away, if it's someone like that. And that's best case scenario. So we've pretty much hit the point where if a starter gets put on the IL and there's a shutdown involved, like Landon Roop's a good example. He got placed on the IL, but the Giants said right away that they think he's not shut down and it's just going to be the minimum. So okay, sure. If you had him and you want to keep him,
he's still a borderline keep because he's marginal to begin with, though.
For sure. But at least the injury, like you could say, like, oh, I can get through this week and next week without him, and then I'll see. But as far as these other pitchers, like if they're not pitching in August and you don't like cut them. Cut them, pick up guys after the trade deadline here who become values after all the deals are done on Sunday, and then pick them up on Sunday. It's not worth holding on. Hitters are a different story. They can just miss a couple weeks unless they're on the Astros, and then they're going to miss a couple months. But everybody else, drop these pitchers that are getting hurt.
Yep, exactly. Question in the forum of Mike Virginia from the great podcast he does with Michael Govier. You guys should check that out. He asked, do you like Griffin Jax as a spec ad for saves? Yes and no, because I think he gets dealt. I think that's probably the likely scenario there. But I would say that if they do trade Duran, I do like it. I like what Jax has done after the first 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah, for sure. Griffin Jax has been, excuse me, I wrote him up recently in an article, and he's been pretty unlucky this year. Like, he's a really good pitcher. He's just had some poor timing. Strand rate's a little low. BABIP's like way high, like 371 for a BABIP. Like, he's just, and his average exit velocity is not high. Like, this isn't a guy who's getting tattooed. Like, his xERA is down in the 2s. He's a great pitcher. So there's 2 ways what I like about Griffin Jax, there's 2 ways he could be a closer in 48 hours. One, he gets Yohan Duran gets traded, he becomes the Twins closer. Number 2, there is a possibility that maybe a team like the Phillies goes out and gets him instead of getting someone with a closer pedigree but maybe worse skills. And they say, like the Phillies maybe say, we'll take Griffin Jax. Like, we don't want your Ryan Helsley. Griffin Jax is maybe we think is a better pitcher. So we don't want your Kenley Jansen. We think Griffin Jax is a better pitcher. We're going to go get the better pitcher and make him our
Yes,
closer.
That's right.
So I see the Phillies and I see the Dodgers as 2 teams that if they were to acquire Griffin Jax, he would be a closer. So there's 2 ways he could be a closer in 48 hours. I'd say they're both like neither one is 50% likely. Like, they're both unlikely, but that's what we're doing right now. We're taking darts.
Yep.
Right. At guys
like the Marlins, like there's certain teams you're taking darts on there. And you're just hoping it works out. And the good news, and hey, you don't spend a lot on darts. You throw it, and if it lands, hits its target, then great. If not, well, okay, you spent very little. You move on to the next dart, and there'll be more to pick up next week too. This was a pre-dart, if you will. Big news out of Cleveland. Emmanuel Clase. He's on the non-disciplinary paid leave for part of a gambling investigation. And the key part here is through August 31st. At first, when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, still through July 31st. Okay. That's through the trade deadline. They may still be able to trade him. No, August 31st, like 30 games more, 30 plus games. And that's huge. It makes him untradeable for the Guardians. It makes so now the question is, do you hold on for that last month? I think the answer is probably no, because I think it could go longer than August. It's minimum 8/31.
Yeah, I'm an easy no, because like for them to immediately put him out on suspension until August 31st, let's be honest, like they wouldn't have done this if they didn't have a lot. Like they've already suspended Luis Ortiz. Now they're digging deeper. He I don't know if we want to call it suspended, but placed on this non-disciplinary paid leave until August 31st. I think it's quite likely that his time away from baseball extends beyond August 31st. So
that's my lean too.
Yeah, I would have to be like in such a tight saves race to make me want to keep him for a couple more. And you may not know till close to August 31st. Like I could see Major League Baseball being very quiet about this until August 30th kind of thing. And then they extend the suspension through the rest of the season, which gives them all off season to decide what happened and what they're going to do about it. So I think you can't keep him. I think Cade Smith is an awesome guy to grab, even though he blew a save last night against the lowly Rockies, the paste-eating Rockies. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
I think Cade Smith is still a great guy to grab. And then beyond this with Clase, I think what will have us all on pins and needles is there are the rumors out there from some decent sources too that he may not be the last Cleveland pitcher who gets placed on this list.
So the funny thing is you say that, and I know you said that and you read it. I heard earlier that baseball told the Guardians that's it. They're not looking at anybody else. However, you might have seen it, what you saw after what I heard. So you might be more accurate. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. I don't really know the details of Clase. Like we know, like Ortiz, we know those 2 first pitch balls. I don't know the details of Clase's case. I haven't had time to read up in the last 24 hours. I talk too much, so I've been more talking and not enough reading for me, unfortunately. So do you know the details of his particular case?
No, and I don't know.
Pretty tight-lipped.
Yeah, I don't think there is available. Like the Ortiz details came out within a day or two. Like you said, those pitches. The Clase stuff I don't think's out there yet from what I've had time to look, and I haven't seen it. So I think we're still waiting to hear. But I think from a fantasy perspective, I think he's an easy drop. The other thing I'll say about Clase is like he wasn't really helping your ratios. Like he wasn't having an awesome year.
No, he wasn't.
Like he was getting his saves and he had some wins too. Like he was valuable in fantasy for sure. But this is the time of year where it's the easiest to pick up saves at a decent price. Fab budgets are low and a bunch of closers usually, or partial closers or whatever, emerge this week. It's all we've been talking about since we started kind of today. So whether it's Baltimore, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Minnesota, but there are going to be like 5 or 6 unsettled bullpens by Thursday night. So the next couple of weeks, and then beyond that, closers are going to get hurt down the stretch and get shut down. And some of these teams that are out of the playoffs are just going to let some random guy close for the rest of the year. Like I've always found that you can find saves at reasonable prices down the stretch. And so, in fact, I've often found in leagues that end up benching save sources in late August and September because they're too easy to find. I grabbed Kevin Ginkel for like $2 in a mixed league a couple weeks ago. Not that he's been anything great or anything, but again, there's a potential save source when Shelby Miller went on the IL. He didn't cost anything in fab. He hasn't been good for me, but he easily could have got 3 saves or something like that if they just had the right scores in their games. So, I think you release Clase for that reason too. Like you can go get another closer this Sunday. If there's one silver lining to this, it's that you got 4 months out of Clase. He's not going to hang around on your injured list. He's not going to sit in your lineup and stink. Just get rid of him and find a new guy who could get saves next week.
Who is the next guy in Cleveland? I mean, I think it's Cade Smith, but what if he gets dealt? Is it Hunter Gaddis after that?
Yeah, I would say so. Hunter Gaddis is like a pretty reliable reliever for them. Like great numbers last year, like really, really great numbers last year. Good enough this year. I would say it's probably him for sure. And I'm interested to see where all this goes with. This is a little bit of deadline talk now, but yeah, Hunter Gaddis' numbers this year are fine. Last year they were outstanding. I'm interested to see where Cleveland goes with all of this. Like this is really bad publicity for them. Does this cause them to just go full sell mode at the deadline? Do they do nothing because like they're already looking bad to the local fan base? Do they look even worse by trading someone like Steven Kwan for like a big return? Like they could.
Do they care about looking bad? Basically,
maybe. Yeah, that's it. So
it's a Dolan operated team. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think they've cared about looking bad before. I feel like they're like the Pirates in that respect, except a better version of the Pirates. The Detroit Tigers, Reese Olson out for the season, Parker Meadows to the IL, Chris Paddack traded to the Tigers. He'll slide right into Olson's spot. That buys some time, for Troy Melton, who pitched well yesterday. Now it's just a matter of like, do they add another starter? Do they wait for Sawyer Gibson Long? Do they wait for, I don't know, Alex Cobb? God, he's still on that roster. That's crazy. Jose Urquidy, maybe he comes back. I mean, point is, I think Melton's got some rope, and I'm glad to see it in a way because his first start wasn't very good. He was pretty good against the Jays yesterday. I'm not the Jays, the Diamondbacks. I played Jays over the weekend. 12-2 K to walk in 12 innings at the major league level. 56-9 in 36 innings at AAA earlier this year. Fred, this isn't just a fill-in guy. This is an actually legit prospect.
Yeah, so I picked up Troy Melton on a team that was important to me on Sunday. So I did some research into him ahead of time. He's pretty straightforward. He's going to have a good strikeout to walk ratio. I'm interested in him. He could get hit around a bit. Like, he does give up a fair amount of hard contact. He's one of those guys who really lives because he really lives in the strike zone, trying to get those strikeouts. Sometimes he'll get hit around. So we'll see where things go. In the end, I chose to pick him up because he wasn't expensive, because he has a 2-start week this week. And because I figure if they trade for another starter, now at the time I did pick him up, Reese Olson was still a thing and Chris Paddack wasn't a thing. So whatever, that's just a wash. But if they add another starter at the deadline and he gets sent back down, whatever, like, I'll cut him. But I think he's worth the risk. I think he's worth the risk in the same way in recent weeks that Brandon Walter was worth the risk. He was a guy, and he landed on the IL on the weekend, which was really disappointing. But he was another guy who is prone to having a really good strikeout to walk ratio, may get knocked around once in a while, but overall, you'll probably be glad that you have him. So I see Troy Melton as another guy in that mold.
Yeah. He was in my waterfall, and I don't think I got a whole lot of them, in part because I got like Quinn Priester instead in some leagues. And so, yeah, happened to be available in the 18 team RotoWire staff keeper league. Yeah. So maybe. So we'll see about that. Need to dig in a little bit more on Melton. Ted is saying that he got hit hard in those outs yesterday. Maybe it's true. I just didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of that start yesterday. So yeah, I'll take your guys' word on that one there, but the end result was good. Now it's worth digging into the numbers a little bit more. That's always important to kind of check that out.
Just Jeff, before you go on, I just want to make one point with Troy Melton too. That's a big picture point for people playing fantasy. And that's like, sometimes it's basically August. Like sometimes you got to just go after some of these guys and just take a chance. Like Troy, like when I really looked at Troy Melton, I had a team in second place. Ratios matter to that team, but strikeouts matter, wins matter for that team a lot. He had a 2-start week coming up. I think both the starts were at home. Could have totally blown up in my face, but late in the season, like, sometimes you just have to say, I'm going to take a chance. This guy, Troy Melton, had some intriguing skills in the minors. He had some intriguing skills in his first start, even though he got knocked around a bit. I'll take a deep breath and I'll put him out there and see what happens. Like, you're going to have to do that down the stretch, with some 2-start pitchers if you want to move up the standings in your league. So yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You're not a genius when it works, and you're not an idiot when it doesn't. It's just a calculated risk.
I'll not only support that point, I'll remove the caveat at this time of year. I think you need to take chances all the time.
Yeah.
I think you look for little, because Scott Pianowski always likes to say, can't wait for proof. You have to take some chances. You look for little nuggets of skills, and then you move on. And you have to try. And sometimes it works out. I remember picking up like Matt Shoemaker one year for the Angels. And he had one good start at that point, and I think he had been sent back down. They called him back up. He was going to be set up for a 2-step week. I took a chance in Tout Wars, and he won like 15 games that year. I'm not trying to say I'm great, but I'm just saying he wasn't exactly great in his career, but that's the marginal type of guys that you take chances on. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes the clock strikes midnight on those guys and they turn into pumpkins, and that's fine. But then again, that's why they were available in the first place. That's why they were not drafted in the first place, especially the deeper leagues that you and I play in a lot. The deeper it is, the more chances you have to take.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we're not looking on the waiver wire, especially in these 50-team leagues, and being like, oh, this guy's a really good pitcher with nice matchups this week. Let's just grab him. Like, they all have warts. They're all either completely unproven or have had a whole bunch of problems, this season or in their career. Like you're basically deciding in these 15-team leagues between like the Troy Meltons of the world and the Luis Severinos.
Mhm.
So pick your poison. Like who do you want to gamble on? You look at their skills, you look at their matchups, you take your chance, or putting Griffin Jackson in your lineup and getting your 3 strikeouts.
Yep.
So you can pick. You can put Griffin Jackson in your lineup, get your 3 strikeouts, and hope he doesn't give up a run. Or you can take a chance on a Severino type, just a veteran who's not very good. Or you can take a chance on like an unproven guy like Troy Melton. But you're going to have to. But I bet if you just use the Griffin Jacksons down the stretch, you're probably not going to move up in the standings. You might hold your spot if that's what you
well,
want
that's
to do.
just the thing.
You're probably not going to move up.
It depends on where you are. Sometimes you're just protecting ratios, and that's fine.
Yep.
I'll tell you, that's dangerous too. One relief pitcher, one bad relief outing can just throw everything off.
For sure.
Last week, if you did the Griffin Jacks plan, you gave up 2 runs to the Dodgers in an inning. On the second day of back-to-back works, he didn't even get a full inning in that one there. Walked 2 batters, gave up 2 hits, kind of ruined your week. And that's the thing about that. It's not guaranteed that it's going to work out for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, it's totally true. You're right. Sometimes in playing it safe, you don't play it. You didn't, you know what I mean? You don't end up playing it safe.
Exactly. We got a lot more talk about sellers at the deadline. I just want to mention one other news note. Eugenio Suarez was hit by a pitch in the 9th inning last night. He not only had an X-ray yesterday, but today had an MRI and a CT scan, all of which came up negative. Fred, I don't view these extra exams as a negative. I think this is done for the comfort of possible trading teams. And that's why I went through all those extra scans. But he's in the lineup. He is not in the lineup tonight against the Tigers. So kind of noteworthy there that, maybe the Diamondbacks are just taking every extra precaution. I don't know what they're telling opposing teams. My hunch is that he had that MRI and CT scan today just to placate possible traders' fears.
Yeah, I totally agree. It does raise an interesting question. If the Diamondbacks know that they're like 100% trading Suarez, like, should you shut these guys down a few days before the trade deadline and just not play them anymore? Like that could have cost them a lot in prospect capital if that came back.
Right.
So, but then you wonder how early is too early, but maybe this week, maybe it's like a fair compromise. Like maybe when that last weekend series end, like maybe guys like Suarez, I'm watching Cedric Mullins play right now against the Blue Jays. He's like, the Orioles are out of it. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Like maybe someone like Cedric Mullins should not be in the lineup Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. Hardly anyone plays Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe he should not be in the lineup while they decide if they're going to trade him. If you end up not trading him, he can go back to the lineup Friday. It's just a few days off.
See, I don't think Mullins is good enough to merit that sort of treatment. Suarez is the most coveted hitter on the market. So he merits it. Plus he got hit on the hand. So exercise that precaution today and tomorrow. Mullins is probably having to audition still, not for his job, but for other teams. Whereas I think everyone pretty much knows what Suarez is at this point in time. I think that's the difference, but I don't disagree with the concept there that teams should take fewer chances with obvious guys. The problem is, and that's the problem with this deadline we're about to talk about is, there's not a whole lot of big name talent on this that's being rumored here. No,
it's mostly contributors, not impact players.
Indeed.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by the NFFC. We love the NFFC. I'm doing the Beat Jeff Erickson draft tomorrow night. Just filled up yesterday, or I think early this morning, actually. I've got the number 1 pick. I'm excited about that. I just let my KDS go 1 for 12. I had the second choice, so I got number 1. It kind of scares me. A lot of people are choosing the back end of the draft, but that's content. We'll pass on that for now. But the NFFC RotoWire Fantasy Football Online Championship is live. You can play fantasy football against your favorite RotoWire experts on the NFFC this football and baseball season. Obviously, we're playing the football draft season here. Play against me, Nick Whalen, Jim Coventry, Alan Sislowski, Scott Genstad, many more. You can check that all out, and you get a chance at the RotoWire NFFC Online Championship overall grand prize of $250,000 plus prizes for winning your league. If you beat one of us in the Beat Leagues, you also get a free RotoWire subscription. Sign up for a draft today at rotowire.com/high stakes. That's rotowire.com/high stakes. Very excited about my draft tomorrow night. I will be streaming that one live, people. So Greg Ambrosius and I will be doing that one together. So hopefully you tune in for that. and you can just see how wrongheaded I am about my picks, and not just the bad picks. You can hear the lousy analysis to go along with it there too. Sellers at the deadline. That is our topic for today. Last week we did buyers at the deadline. Now we're going to look at what's possibly out there, Fred. It's not pretty.
No, as I said, more contributors really than impact players. There'll probably be one surprising deal where someone good, like really good, gets traded. Like I already mentioned Stephen Kwan. I know the Joe Ryan rumors just kind of sit out there. I bet somewhere, or someone who's completely off our radar, like I bet there'll be some deal where maybe Andy Diaz. I know you and Scott talked about him. Maybe Andy Diaz gets traded or something like that. Pete
Red should get him. Go Reds. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many teams probably that would love Yandy Diaz. Like, how would you not? The only thing is the fielding's so limited with him. Like it's first in DH really at this point in his career. But man, like he just fits so well at the top, like hitting first or second in so many lineups.
Would totally love to see it. That would be my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that there. But yeah, he could go to a lot of places. Let's go team by team here. Baltimore Orioles. We already we let off talking about the Seranthony Dominguez trade because it was so earth shattering. We had to lead off with it there. No, it just happened 5 minutes before we started today. Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins could go. Zach Eflin was cromulent yesterday. Charlie Morton pitched okay today. Gregory Soto and Seranthony Dominguez have already been dealt. Yeah, last year we were yelling at the Orioles for not doing enough to trade at the deadline. Now we're telling them to trade away at the deadline. Life can come at you fast. Shades of the Reds a couple years ago when they were first place at the trade deadline and added, here, let me say the whole list real quick. Sam All. That's it. Okay, that was it. And they were on it to preserve that young core, and it was such a mistake. I was on them at the time. I feel the same way even now. You don't always get to choose when you're competing, especially a team like that. You go for it when you have a chance. There you go. Soapbox over. So Orioles. I made it about the Reds. It's about the Orioles.
I mean, the Orioles are one of those teams that's out of the race, but fully expects and should to be back in the race next year. To be back in the race next year, they need a few guys on offense who had disappointing seasons to have better years next year. And they need to massively overhaul their pitching staff. They can do that. They can overhaul their pitching staff in the offseason. It's a tall order, but they can make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys who won't be part of it or who could be brought back, I mean, you can trade Charlie Morton and bring him back. I think all of these players will be gone. I think the big fantasy winner that we're already seeing a little bit is Coby Mayo. Like I think Coby Mayo will probably get to play regularly down the stretch, and maybe Heston Kjerstad comes back and he gets to play regularly down the stretch. So I'd say those are the two players on the Orioles probably that we should be keeping an eye on. I don't think there's anything on the pitching side. It'd be those two position players.
Yep, exactly right there. So they won't get a lot for any. All these deals will be underwhelming in what they get back, but. You're adding some draft capital here and there. I mean, you're adding some prospects. You're adding some depth to your farm system. And maybe one of those guys hit. Also, maybe one of those guys help you bring back a better pitcher later on when you're more competitive in the cycle. Yep. You get 2 months with that prospect in your system. They take a leap forward. They inch forward a little bit there. And you kind of turn that into something else. It's the old turn a penny into something really valuable. Like you see those memes, maybe not memes, but those stories of how, good traders can take something small like a paperclip and turn it into something really valuable someday.
Yes, that's exactly it. You got to start stockpile. You might as well. You've got to turn lemons into lemonade. You've had a lemon of a season, grab some lemonade, grab a few prospects, even if they're not great, see what you can turn them into down the road.
Cleveland Guardians. We talked a little bit about them already. Stephen Kwan is probably going to be highly in demand. Their pitcher, starting pitching, no one's trading for anyone but Shane Bieber. I don't think Tanner Bybee's going anywhere, and I don't think he's going to fetch that much demand either. I don't know anything else. Maybe Hunter. The two relievers, Cade Smith, Hunter Gaddis, could be of value there. But there's not a ton that they can trade away, assuming that they're trading away. I mean, let's face it, they're not out of it really. I mean, they're not good right now. They're not really in a great spot right now, but they're not out of it in the wild card race. They're out of it in the AL Central, of course. But entering today, they're 4 games out in the wild card behind the Red Sox, but only 2 other teams in front of them, the Rangers and the Rays, among the teams that aren't in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, for sure. I just think that like they need to make up ground, and losing starter and now their closer right before the trade deadline, like probably for the rest of the season, I don't know. I just can't see them now investing in anything. They could just sit tight, like we talked about when we were talking about Clase, and just say, you know what, we'll roll these guys out for the rest of the season. Maybe we'll catch fire. We'll see what happens. When you look at their rotation and their bullpen now, the rotation, like, it doesn't look like one to me that's going to catch fire and, you know, win 9 of 10 or something. You never know. To me, Stephen Kwan's really interesting in the same way that Yandy Diaz is interesting, and just that Kwan is like such a prototypical like leadoff hitter. You know, 357 career on base percentage. He can steal a base. He's got a little bit of pop. Like, he can hit you 10 or 15 home runs. He can field. Like, there's so many teams out there who would say, oh, I can get an outfielder who can hit leadoff for my team. And he's under contract for a while. So that would be the one where I could see maybe some team coming in with like a legit prospect package, and Cleveland, who is a low budget franchise on top of everything else, saying, sure, we'll take it. So that's the one that I think would be really interesting. Other than that, I think there's probably not much there now.
Agreed. Chad asked the question you're kind of hinting at here. Does the gambling drama kill the Guardians market to sell? It might. I don't think it's going to like keep. I mean, from a public, there's a couple angles here. It's not just a public PR standpoint, but maybe other teams are like a little wary of trading for one of these players, wondering if they're still tainted by the scandal too.
Yep.
Isn't that possible?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So the one guy I guess you could trade for would be Shane Bieber. So he's not tainted by the schedule, and he's working his way back. And it would be a really weird thing if Cleveland, re-signed him and then helped him make it all the way back and then traded him away before he ever pitched for them. But we've seen stranger things.
It really is about how much they can fetch for him. I mean, if they get a Godfather offer, as you and I like to talk about, well, then you take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago White Sox. Luis Robert obviously should be like the other big name hitter, but I mean, he's just not good. Not been good lately. Shows these flashes all the time. Homer the other day got drilled by 101 mile an hour fastball on Sunday. You want to talk about another possible Suarez situation? Jumped right back in the lineup yesterday and homered. So that was at least a positive there. But man, just such a tough season for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really torn as to whether he's going to get traded at the deadline. Like I feel like he has to get, I feel like for his own sake, he just needs out of there. He just probably needs a fresh start. Like, anyone who had some talent, has endured last season and this season with Chicago, just needs an opportunity. But he's played so poorly. I'm not sure if Chicago will look at what's available for him and just say, forget it. We're going to hold this guy until he starts to play better. I don't know. What does your gut say? Is he on a new team in 2 days or not?
Yes. Okay. I think he is. I think at the end of the day, they'll because instead of having to pay him another year, I think they'll take what they can get. Strikeouts have started to go down a little bit. The walks are way up this year, 10.5% walk rate. They were, it's now down to 29% strikeout rate. It was above last year was 33. Earlier in the season, it was higher, but I think he's been better lately. I need to probably clarify that statement there. But I think he's hit better lately. Yeah. In the last 21 days, he's got a 957 OPS. So that kind of suggests that he's more dialed in now than he's been in a while. Is that good enough for teams to try to give them something decent? I don't know.
Yeah. I really don't know. It's really going to be just Chicago. Are they willing to just cut their losses on this guy? Sure, we're not going to get what we had hoped for him, but it's just time for us to move on. There are little things. I was starting to work on a late season write up for Chicago for a down the road article. And there are some little signs that they're turning the corner. Their pitching staff has been respectable this year with a lot of guys who are about 25 years old. The problem is I don't see a lot of those guys having high end potential. But at least inning eating type potential. They've got some guys now in the farm system. We see some guys like Montgomery and Mydruth, who are up now. Maybe it's just time to move on from Robert. Just whatever you get, you get. It's just maybe get rid of the guys who kind of have the stench of the old generation of White Sox. Could
very well be. We see that sometimes the new regime comes in. They try to get their guys. All right, let's move on to the Royals. They didn't trade Seth Lugo. They extended him. Does that take them completely out of the market as sellers? And they also traded for Randall Grichuk too. So they've done more trading and Adam Frazier, the great Adam Frazier, right at the All-Star break. Are they buyers?
I think they're mostly nothingers. I think that the Bubic injury, I think, probably takes them out of being buyers.
Yeah,
Like, I think they're retooling for next yearers, I think is what they are. Like next year, Bubic comes back, Cole Reagans comes back. This whole thing with Bubic going out makes me a little wary on Cole Reagans, that maybe I've been holding him in some leagues, that maybe they really slow play him, because why not? But I can see where they, like, I think the Lugo signing was really smart. Bubic, Reagans, Lugo, that's a nice, kind of top three. Michael Wacha, like Noah Cameron. They've got a nice rotation foundation for next year. Like, their problem this year is they just didn't score runs.
This year and every other year.
Yeah, for sure. But this year,
last year was actually okay. But yeah,
last year was okay. And then because Bobby Witt's so good, you thought that they had turned the corner, and they added to Jonathan India, and Vinny Pasquantino's healthy, and Sal Perez is great. And you're like, okay, this is, like
there's five other spots, unfortunately.
And Michael Garcia's had a really good year, better than expected.
4 other spots. Getting
yeah,
better.
Yeah. Like, anyways.
The problem is Witt hasn't been otherworldly this year.
No, he hasn't. Yeah,
he's been good, but just not otherworldly.
Like Jonathan India has been bad.
Legit bad.
And Sal Perez was bad for a long time, actually. He's come around lately a little bit, and
Pasquantino hasn't taken the next step either.
Yeah, he's been okay. Yeah, for
okay.
Sure.
You need him to take the next step. If you looked at last year, they were outperforming their roster. It was definitely a whole greater than the sum of the parts sort of team.
Yep.
Kind of Brewers-esque in that sort of way. And maybe that's a lesson for next year, is maybe we should kind of be a little bit more circumspect about the Brewers when we evaluate their chances next year. But we'll see. That's another bridge we can cross later on too. Let's move on. Let's talk little Minnesota Twins. I think there should be a lot of activity. They already traded away Chris Paddack, huge if true, to the Tigers. Tigers, they get a guy that's a major league average pitcher. And I think that has value. Harrison Bader, Willi Castro could be dealt. The relievers, they have a lot of good relievers. It's not just Duran. It's not just Jax. They have like 6 good relievers. I could see them dealing some of them. You suggested maybe Joe Ryan. He would immediately be the best player available on the market if they did trade him.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I know his name keeps coming up in trade rumors. I think Willi Castro is again, he's like not quite, but a little bit in that. He's not as good, but he's a little bit in that Yandy Diaz and Steven Kwan boat, where I can see why a lot of teams would want Willi Castro for the stretch run. He's not under contract long term, or beyond this year, like those other guys. But Castro this year has played second, third, short, left, center, and right. So you're talking about a switch hitter who can play every position on the diamond, who gets on base, 343 this year, 331 last year, 339 the year before. So 3 years in Minnesota, he's been a really good on base guy. He's not going to be your cleanup hitter or anything, but easily you can put him some days at the top of the lineup. You could put him down around 6th or 7th. He's just, I think so many teams will call on Willi Castro and since his contract's up at the end of the year, it would make a lot of sense for them to trade him. And Harrison Bader's kind of same thing. He's a pretty good defensive outfielder. He gets hurt a lot, but you're not taking much of a gamble on the injuries when you're only looking for a couple months from him. He's healthy now, so he's had an okay season. So I think those two guys, I'm going to predict that they trade them. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say they trade them. They do not trade Jax or Duran.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that here. I just think that, I think fantasy wise, we're hoping for these guys to get moved, but I think one of the two gets dealt, but I won't tell you which one because I don't know. But I just feel like
maybe
that. They could be competitive again next year, but they got the perfect Buxton season. They're still not competitive. A lot of other things went wrong, but it starts with Buxton really. And if you can't get it, I don't think that's going to repeat. And they can't trade him either is the other thing, because he's got that pure no trade clause.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Their season really, I feel like partially went up in smoke because of Pablo Lopez and Bailey Ober.
For
Lopez
sure.
is on the 60-day IL. Ober was terrible this year. Their lineup, Royce Lewis, I'll add Royce Lewis into that. He was supposed to be a lineup centerpiece in the end. Again, missed. He's played actually a little bit better lately, but up until the point where they started to follow the race, he had been almost completely unavailable. So
for sure,
I don't know. I feel like this is one of them. They're in an interesting spot, I think, because this is one of the most blah respectable but low upside rosters, I feel like, in baseball. Like when you look at that lineup, like Carlos Correa is a nice player. Trevor Larnach is good against righties. Matt Wallner is good against righties. Like I don't know.
They're paying Correa to be more than just a nice player. Too.
I know.
That's part of their problem.
I know. But I don't know if he really is. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this team could easily just win like 80 games for a few more years if they're not careful. Just win 80 games, 82 games, 84
We're going
games,
through an ownership change
games.
here too. This is the other thing. And this is part, but also it set the tone for the season that they did almost literally nothing this offseason.
Yep.
You know, that goes a long way towards just, you know, the team, the building of the team and all that. You know, I think the one guy they added was Ty France, excuse me.
Yep.
I don't think they added anybody else of note. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but
I don't know if Ty France counts as
well. I think he's the only player that added to like the major league roster that they added.
Yeah, Harrison Bader. I think they added
Harrison Bader. You're right. Yeah. They added him. Sorry,
about as valuable as Ty France, maybe a little more.
Yeah, fair.
Right. So the other thing that I think impacts the decision with the Twins, who are actually now behind the Guardians and the Royals. I know it could change tonight and whatever, but is that the Tigers have run away with it. And I know the Tigers aren't playing great baseball right now, but they're 10 games ahead of the Twins. Like if you're the Twins, the Guardians, and the Royals, because since we talked about them all here back to back, like you're only chasing the wild card spots now. Like you're not going to catch Detroit when you're 9 and 10 games back right now. Like that's a miracle. Like that's not going to happen. So now you're competing with the Yankees. Let's just say the Blue Jays hang on. Like you're competing with the Yankees, who, like, if they get Judge back, are a good team. They're going to add at the deadline the Red Sox, who have played really well, the Mariners, who just added Josh Naylor and have been playing well, the Rangers, who are on fire. Like you're competing with all these teams for wild card spots. Like the division is out of reach now. So there's only one way for you to get in the playoffs, and you're going to have to catch multiple wild card teams.
Correct.
Sell.
Yeah, absolutely should sell. The Angels. Okay. So they're kind of always, they're complicated, but not really. They're just not that good. They're not that bad this year either. 52 and 55, but look at this, minus 66 run differential, 4.5 games out of the wild card. They're tied with the Royals. You know, they're behind the Guardians, Rays, Rangers, in addition to the Red Sox, Mariners, Yankees. The problem is the top of the wild card is so soft. The Yankees only have a 1-game lead over the Red Sox, who are the third wild card. The Yankees just lost Judge for what looks to be a shorter period of time, but I don't trust the Yankees in saying that. And he's not going to throw when he comes back, which means he's DH only. That worries me. There's a relapse. Their third starter is Will Warren right now. I know they're getting Luis Gurriel back this weekend, but I don't think the Yankees are a sure thing to make the playoffs. I don't think the Mariners, the Red Sox are, the Rangers are a half game out. Point is, it's there for the getting. So I understand if the Angels look at this and the Royals look at this and say, I don't think I'm going to sell. I do think, and the Angels have sold over the years. So I also think there's a lack of enthusiasm for selling yet again. I also wonder, like, who's buying? What do they have that people are buying is the other question. I mean, there's Kenley Jansen, but who's buying Kenley Jansen right now?
Totally. That's where I think the differences between the Angels and, say, like Cleveland and the Twins, because the records are all basically the same. They just move around by any given night. One, Cleveland and the Twins have both had some playoff exposure in the last few years. So they've had some playoff series, so they could just be like, you know what, this isn't really our year. They're also a little more, they're kind of small budget towns, like areas. Like they could be like, you know what, we've had some playoff series. This isn't our year. We're going to retool for next year. The Angels have been starved to make the playoffs. It's become even more noticeable because of Mike Trout and the constant clamoring from me and lots of other people saying, like, wow, you've wasted the career of one of the greatest players ever on this team that's never any good. And it's not his fault. He gets hurt a lot, but he plays well. And anyways, so this is like, they're closer this year than they often are. Like you said, and they also don't have a lot, like with Minnesota, like we were saying, like those relievers are just sitting there being like, you could get a lot for them. Those pending free agents like Castro and Bader are just sitting there. You could get a lot for them. The Twins or the Angels don't really have that. Like Zach Neto's staying, like he's a part of the future. Nolan Shanwell is part of the future. Like Joe Adell has finally come around. Like they finally actually have a top of the lineup around Trout that's in their early to mid 20s, and looks like they have some potential there. So they're not a finished product by any stretch, but like you said, you're not getting a lot for Kenley Jansen. And there's not a lot of, you could trade Reed Detmers, but there's not a lot of other relievers to sell. I think that the Angels maybe just do nothing, basically. I could almost see them even doing like a non-important buy where they just buy like Charlie Morton or something like that and stick him at the back end of the rotation, because all that Baltimore can get for Charlie Morton is the Angels' 25th best prospect. And
salary relief.
Right. And maybe the Angels say, sure, 25th prospect, and we'll take Charlie Morton for the rest of the year and stick him at the back end of our rotation. And it's like, basically they just stood pat at the deadline. I could see them maybe doing something like that.
Chad suggests maybe like Tyler Ward could be, a trade guy, because he only got 1 year left after this, but again, it would be kind of like a, hey, bowl me over this because there's no other good hitters out there sort of offer. I think that's kind of the way it could be. But we'll see. We'll see about that there, but they are a cromulent lineup. They can do some damage. They could also strike out a ton. They did get to DeGrom last night. But I've seen them like get shut down by Andrew Heaney earlier in the year. I mean, it can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, this is just, it's just so okay. It's an okay lineup. It's a below average rotation that's somehow been like not totally terrible this year. Like this team is not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. Like I think they would be wise to look at ways they can sell, but I don't know. They're really starved for success. They're so in the shadows of the Dodgers. Like to give themselves at least just, Trout is actually healthy. Often when we get to the deadline, Trout's not healthy. Trout's actually healthy to at least say, hey guys, keep your team together. Go shoot your shot. You've got a chance. See if you can pull off a winning streak and push your way into the playoffs. They probably have a couple series each against the Mariners and the Rangers the rest of the way. So go win those series and go catch them yourself.
Could see it.
Yeah.
Could see it. One last AL team, the Athletics. Just Athletics. I'm not even going to say the. It's kind of like MLB. Don't say the MLB. Say Athletics. Luis Severino pitches tonight at home. Last audition there. He hates home field in Sacramento. Can't stands it. Well, he's got a very heavy contract. I don't think he's going to get dealt, but it's possible. Maybe Jeffrey Springs, maybe JP Sears. Not a lot of old, expensive guys on this team to sell other than Severino, though.
No, I do think Jeffrey Springs is an interesting one. I think he has this year and next year on his contract. The Athletics really should be aiming for further ahead, right down the road than just this year and next year. Oh, he has a club option for 2027, so there's even that. Although he'll be 34 by then, like who knows? I think you could get something for him, like even with that home park, and he's also got a really low strand rate. Like he's got a 4.13 ERA. Like his ERA estimators are kind of similar to that. I don't know. I think he might be interesting. They should be aiming further down the road. Like this has actually been in a weird way, kind of a little bit of a successful season for them, given what was expected. Like the fact that Nick Kurtz has become less like otherworldly rookie talent, like in the last month, and played so incredibly well. Jacob Wilson could still end up like, who knows where this all goes with him, but
he went on the IL today,
fractured
by the way.
Forearm. Yes, actually, I just saw that he just went on the IL. Never mind. I was going to say he could still win the batting title, but probably not now. But either way, Jacob Wilson has played well enough this year that you're like, okay, this guy could be our leadoff hitter for years, or second or number 2 hitter for years. Nick Kurtz can hit in the top of the lineup. Brent Rooker is a 30 homer stud in the prime of his career. Shea Langoliers is a catcher who can hit 30 homers. Tyler Soderstrom's decent. He's not amazing, but he's good enough. Like there's Lawrence Butler hasn't been great this year, but he's a major, like there's pieces there to have to go like 6 deep in their lineup, where you can picture those guys all together in a couple of years.
Yep.
So I would say if you could get a young pitcher for Jeffrey Springs, who you could picture being in your rotation in 2 years, go get him. Yeah. And who cares about next year?
Hopefully you have park effects in Vegas someday that are better than they are in Sacramento. But given the track record of Vegas franchises in AAA, I'm guessing no, as far as that goes. Too.
Yeah.
Quickly, let's talk a little bit about, before we do anything else, let's talk a little bit about the, we're going to talk about the National League, but before we do anything else, got a quick note from our friends at the Blue Wire Network. All right. Thanks to the folks at Blue Wire. Gosh, was that really so hard to say? Apparently it was. Let's talk Marlins. I know the masses are wanting it. At least PJ wants it there. I actually want to talk Marlins because they're fun. They're actually they're playing some decent ball. They were ahead of the Diamondbacks before yesterday, but then they are at one point this weekend. Still, they're ahead of the Braves by 5 games. They're 50-55, minus 54 run differential. The pitching's still pretty bad. 500 runs allowed this year. Sandy Alcantara makes his showcase trade start tonight against Sonny Gray and the Cardinals. Maybe a double showcase. Although I'm hearing that Gray won't be dealt, but will they trade Edward Cabrera? Will they trade Sandy Alcantara? Were those the 2 best pitchers available?
So I threw the question out here to you, like should the Marlins? They've done so well this summer. Like, should they trade these guys for guys who are in single A and double A, or should they maybe try to actually be okay next year? Like Yuri Perez looks good now already. He's a stud. He's 22. Should they roll with Alcantara hasn't been good. Could you
except for his last start, 7 shutout innings last time out against San Diego.
But overall, he hasn't been good. So should you try to keep him and have him pitch down the stretch and look good, and maybe you can get more for him in the winter, or maybe you keep him and you've got Perez, Cabrera, Alcantara. You've got I forget Cal Quantrill, Jansen Junk, maybe. Who knows, if Jansen Junk can be in the rotation, but you've got Max Meyer back next year. You've got Ryan Weathers back next year. You got Braxton Garrett back next year. I don't know. Maybe they should try to actually be okay next year because they've been okay all after the slow start. They've been okay all summer. So
I think you trade both of them, and I think it's a no-brainer.
There you go.
Edward Cabrera, how long has he been healthy? How long has he ever been good for an extended period of time? You've got lightning in a bottle. Let's use it. Sandy, he's had 2 Tommy Johns. He's not throwing as hard as he did before in the past. I think it's also a no-brainer trade if they get anything for him. Obviously, that's the massive caveat. If they get anything for him, there's got to be teams willing to pay. But I think they're both ticking time bombs. I don't think they'll be any worse off because they've got so much young talent in their system, and they'll have presumably some salary flexibility to go add anyhow. When you look at what happens in the free agent market next year, if I'm the Marlins, if I can get talent for these 2 guys, especially in a talent-starved market, you do it. I still don't think their farm system's strong enough that they can't look at trades like this. You look at James Anderson's prospect rankings; they got 3 in the top 100, and obviously some guys have graduated already playing on the big league roster. They've got another one in Robbie Snelling at 125. And then a bunch of plus 200, plus 300 guys. I think they could build that farm system a little bit more. Again, remember, it's the trade up theory there. You add a couple more pieces there, maybe turn 2 or 3 of those into better prospects. Maybe you combine them to turn into a better pitcher in the offseason. I think you go on door number 3. You go for the unknown, the lesser known. You know what you've got in Cabrera and Alcantara. I think it's time.
Yeah, I guess the caveat will be what our team's offering. If we know that Cabrera has only been good in his career for very short stretches of time, the teams know that too. So will they offer a lot for him? Alcantara, you're trying to trade a guy with a 6.66 ERA. So that will be the question is what are teams willing to pay for them? Even though we've talked about how there's not a lot on the market as far as starting pitching goes, do teams value Edward Cabrera way more? Are they willing to give way more than they would give for Jeffrey Springs or Zach Eflin? Or if the Marlins want a lot for him, would they say, forget it, I'll just go trade for one of these other guys instead? Because this guy's been so all over the place in his career that I can't, he's not at a level where I can count on him, I feel like, for the stretch run. But it only takes one team. It only takes one contender to say, hey, Edward Cabrera, this guy's younger and more exciting than the other guys in the market. So that's the guy I want.
Yep. By the way, I posted a link to our prospect rankings. You can check that out for yourselves. Use promo code YouTube15. You get 15% off any RotoWire subscription if you want to check that out for yourself. James just updated the prospect rankings, including all the players in the first-year player draft this year on Friday. So fresh new rankings you guys can check out for yourselves there if you'd like to get an opportunity to go ahead and do that there. All right, enough Marlins talk. As much as they're worthy of our discussion. We got to fly. We're at 54 minutes already. Braves. Can they trade anyone? Is anybody trading for Marcell Ozuna or Raisel Iglesias?
So I would say yes. but they won't get much. And I think that's all they'll trade because the Braves have said, and they should, like they're going to be back in the race next year. That's the goal. They will be. They've got a great young core. Like they'll figure this out. So they're not trading guys under contract. They won't get a lot for Iglesias, but I think they will get something. This guy was a really good reliever, really effective closer for years. I think someone will say, hey, we'll take this guy and put him in the 7th inning, and we think we can get him, back on track. Ozuna's really interesting one. I did not see this coming at all, but the Braves have almost sapped his trade value themselves by benching him since the All-Star break. Like he has barely played since the All-Star break, and they play Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin most games in the starting lineup, and Ozuna just sits. So it's like the Braves in a weird way have told teams that Ozuna's done and sapped his trade value. That being said, we're talking about a guy who hit 79 homers the past 2 years, and the Braves will probably take, again, like we were talking about with the Angels, like the Braves, or like we're talking about with Charlie Morton, like the Braves will probably take your 25th best prospect for him. So your 30th best prospect for him. So I think some team might take him and just be like, hey, he could maybe be a bench bat for us, a pinch hitter. Maybe we can get him going. I don't know, but I think they'll get traded, and I think that'll be it from the Braves.
What a glorious mess the Braves are. You're absolutely right. It's bonkers how little Ozuna's played. Since the All-Star break, he's sat entirely for 4 games, had 1 at bat and 3 others. He's only started 3 games since the All-Star break.
It's so weird. Like I thought it seemed to me to be a no-brainer since they're out of it that he plays every day after the All-Star break and you're auditioning him for trade. Yep. And then on August 1st, if you didn't find a trade partner for him, then you actually like maybe even release him. Like if you don't get a trade partner on August 1st, you're like, okay, you're out. And now you do the Drake Baldwin DH thing. So, but they didn't do
kind
that.
Of backwards. You're right.
Unless they're trying to rest him. But then I thought like maybe if like because of his hip, and I wondered, hey, maybe they're trying to give him like an extended break when he first didn't play to the All-Star break.
A break from DHing? No, I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, just from everything, from being up, at all. So when he didn't play at the All-Star break, I thought, hey, maybe they're going to try to give him like a good week to 10 days off without putting him on the IL, and then bring him back like this week and have him hit and trade him. But they're not even really, I guess he has played the last 2 days. Hey, maybe they are. Maybe they're putting my plan into action. He has started 3 of the last 4 games. So maybe they're putting my plan into action and trying to play him a few days before the deadline. They gave him a rest. Now they're going to try to start him and show teams that he's okay.
Yeah. You know what? I'm talking Braves. Mark Aram asks Sean Murphy for Leo DeVries. Who says no? Snap call no by the Padres. No way would they ever do this deal
I don't
there.
think so. No.
DeVries is a top 5 overall prospect. Murphy is a part-time catcher right now, an expensive catcher. I know they need an upgraded catcher for this year, but man, that'd be I don't think that's happening.
Actually, along that line, prepare to be disappointed in the prospect return for most players at the deadline. Like that's a good reminder that we saw that already with Josh Naylor. Like Josh Naylor gets traded for a couple prospects and you're like, wait, who and who? And it's like their 11th and 13th prospects, but those guys are legit prospects. They're pitchers. Mm-hmm. They can turn into something, but like Josh Naylor is not getting traded for some team's like 3rd best prospect or something.
Yeah. You look at what Naylor hauled in. It was 2 not top 10 prospects for their team, not, pitchers that, might have a live arm, but they've got a lot of problems still. So definitely you're absolutely right. I mean, if the players getting traded are underwhelming, the prospects are going to be underwhelming too. Let's keep rolling. This podcast would be underwhelming if we kept on going like that. The Nationals. Is this the year someone decides, okay, I'll go for Kyle Finnegan? This is, I think, a good, the fact that the Nats couldn't trade Finnegan last year, designated him for assignment instead of picking up his option and then re-signed him, and are going to try to trade him again this year. It just shows how much the front offices have evolved.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nobody's being fooled by the fact that someone's working the 9th inning. His numbers this year are actually, his ERA is worse, but his other underlying numbers are a little bit better. He's basically the same guy. Will someone, again, give their 25th best, 30th best prospect for Kyle Finnegan? Maybe. If they do, should the Nats take it? Absolutely. And I'll say the same thing for Josh Bell, who's having like a very Josh Bell type year, 700 OPS, which is kind of what he's been a lot of recent years. Josh Bell's not really good. If the Nats can get anything for either of those guys, they should take it. But I don't see the Nats really trading anything beyond that. Like their pitching's been incredibly disappointing this year. There's nothing really else to trade in that vein. And then the hitters are actually a lot of young up and comers. Like they're not trading Abrams, Wood, Garcia, right? Like Brady House. Like they've got some up and coming hitters. I just don't see them trading anyone else. There's not really any fits there. It's kind of like when we looked at teams like the Royals and stuff, like they just don't have guys who you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense to trade him, except for Bell and Finnegan.
Yeah. And Josh Bell gets traded every year, so I expect that one to happen for sure. All right, let's talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, and they could go either way. I still don't think they're completely out of the wild card race, but man, Ryan Helsley is like the last closer standing among guys that could really be dealt, especially if teams are looking to trade a closer. The Nolan Arenado thing, I don't know if that happens, especially because he's got such an ironclad no trade clause. It makes it really hard to deal him. And he doesn't seem like he wants to go anywhere, but I mean, those are two that I'd look at there. I mean, I really think that Helsley's, they really should be taking advantage of Helsley. Again, though, they're probably getting underwhelmed with offers too. It's so funny. You're talking earlier, like, oh, teams are going to ask way too high of a price for this player. And I've already seen that sort of like, you see those reports trickling out, teams to negotiate in the market all the time. The asking price for Eugenio Suarez is exorbitant. I've seen that exact word used, and I'm sure we'll see more of that in connection to Helsley before he gets dealt too.
Yeah, I do think they'll get something decent for Helsley. So here's some interesting stats on Helsley. So since June 19th, and I know I'm just cherry picking, but that's a little over a month. 0.82 ERA, 1.0 WHIP, 11-2 strikeout to walk in 11 innings. Helsley's had some really dominant stretches, like in his career. Career 2.67 ERA. This is not the peak Ryan Helsley this year, but he's pitched well lately. He's got closer experience if you want a closer. He's got setup experience if you want a setup man. He's had some really dominant seasons in 22, 23, and 24. I think he's gone. No chance on Arenado. He stinks, and he's got a no trade clause. Like, it's not going to work out. That's an off-season move at best. Sonny Gray, I think that maybe that's a really interesting one. I think that they should be open to it. And then he's someone who's really underperformed his expected stats this year. And maybe some team should say, because again, like there's not a lot of controllable starters. Like there's maybe some team would say, I'll give you a little more for Sonny Gray than what I would give for a rental, though they would. I don't know. He's an interesting one for sure. And I think the Cardinals are a little bit like the Twins to me, where they need a little more of a reset. Just this whole roster is just, to me, is so blah, like so just one guy after another who's just okay.
Yeah.
I think they need more of a reset and stop sitting on the fence and trade guys and maybe get a little worse and then get a little better.
I know that the Dodgers are theoretically interested in Brendan Donovan. I don't know if they would trade Donovan, but he's a blah plus guy. I think he's better than blah.
I guess. I don't know. This year he's blah plus. I guess last year he's the same guy. He's okay. He's an on base guy with he's okay. He's okay. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. Trade him. He's just part of this blah team. Like I was talking about. Like he's pretty good. Yvonne Herrera's pretty good. Alec Burleson's okay. He's pretty good. Mason Wynn's pretty good. This team, I don't know. And then in the rotation, it's stinky. Like Miles Michaelis, Matthew Libertar's okay. Michael McGreevy, we have really no idea. It's just not. I don't know. This team with Eric Fedde didn't work out at all this year. I think this team needs a bit more of a reset. I think they need to take a step back and then try to take a couple steps forward. I know it's hard to do in a market like St. Louis that's really competitive fan base, but I really think they need to take a step back. And if that means maybe you trade Sonny Gray and get a decent amount for him because he's got some term remaining on his contract, then you do it. Because I just don't see this team being a playoff team next year either.
Yeah, I was just doing a search for Sonny Gray. I thought I had heard a report earlier today that he is not going anywhere, but I don't know what his contract status is, so we'll see about that. Chad Green designated for assignment by your Jays. Kind of sad considering the year he had last year, but he's not been good. He got crushed today in their first game of the doubleheader. I understand they had to make room for Seranthony Dominguez. That's how they did that. The Pirates, your note on them is very typical of what I'd expect. Very unhappy with them. Unless they trade Mitch Keller, they don't have much else to offer. Andrew Heaney, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, gross. I'd add David Bednar to that list, though.
I forgot about Bednar. That's a big miss on my part. And Dennis Santana. Those are big misses on my part. Yes, that's who they should be trading, is those two guys. They could trade Mitch Keller. They have a lot of young pitching.
I think Mitch Keller should absolutely be dealt.
Yeah, like they could get a lot for him. He could be, let's say Joe Ryan's not on the market. Like he could be the best pitcher when you factor in his skills and years of control. He could be the best pitcher, most valuable pitcher on the market. They have a lot of young pitching, assuming that Jones comes back from the injury that's going to require him to miss all this season. And they've got Chandler and Skeens. Like they have a lot of pitching. So trade Keller, but the lineup is so bad. And again, I was already looking at writing up like an end of season on them. There are not hitting prospects on the way. Like this lineup does not turn around on its own in the next year or two. They need help. So trade Keller, get hitting prospects, trade Bednar, get hitting prospects. That's what they need to do, is get some hitting prospects who are AA, AAA level and start building that lineup. Because otherwise Skeens is going to start we all know what'll happen here. Skeens will get 2 years away from free agency and say, I can't see myself signing here.
Yep. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they started the sell-off. They were a linchpin team, and when they decided they were all out, they already traded Josh Naylor. We talked about Suarez already. Other names, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, are definitely guys that you should keep an eye on there. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., maybe even, who has a player option. I mean, I could see all those being dealt. Although I don't know who's trading for Zach Gallen. I think I trade for Kelly before I trade for Gallen.
Yep. Oh, I think so too. I think they'll get more for Kelly for sure. But I do think someone will trade for Gallen. Like he's still getting strikeouts. So someone out there will say, let's take a chance on him. Like there's still skills there. We'll try to get him on track here down the stretch. But I agree. I think they'll get more for Kelly. Kelly's really projectable. Like he's just had a really solid season. And if you're looking for a rental, it's easy to picture Kelly just coming in and just like being your number 3 or 4 starter down the stretch.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, one more team and one emission of teams here, Fred. I'm going to chastise you a little bit. Not chastise,
right.
But first of all, the Rockies, the Pace Eaters. I'm not going to chastise you for that. They do stink. They've already traded McMahon. Who else do they? What else do they have? Not a whole lot there.
Nothing. Forget it. Like they don't have anything to trade.
Yeah.
Nobody should want anything that they can trade.
Maybe we can fix them if they get them out of course. I mean, even a guy that they might have. I mean, there's one guy that we'll talk. We've been fantasizing for years about getting. Maybe not fantasizing. That's overstating the case. But hoping that maybe got him in a different location was Herman Marquez. But I think he's thoroughly broken now. He's back on the IL with a biceps injury. 164 WHIP this year. I never see the funny thing, Fred, is we always talk about, oh gosh, Rockies hitters getting him out of Coors, it's going to be disastrous. And it's not always as bad as you think. The flip side is like, oh, get this pitcher out of Coors Field and maybe he'll make something of himself. And I got to say, I don't ever see like too many ex Coors Field pitchers really having that level of success once they leave. Ugueth Urbina was never that great once he left Colorado, for instance, there.
No, great name from the past.
Thank you.
Great job. Yeah.
Thank you. John Thompson was a guy I thought maybe. Even John Gray. John Gray's been hurt so many times for Texas. He's back now, and he was unlucky the last time he got hurt. But he's never had that great season. Like, he's finally going to cash in on all that potential. And it's funny I bring up John Thompson, someone I wrote about in 1999. But here we are. Point is, there's not that many success stories of, hey, I left Coors Field, I'm a better pitcher again. No, there's not too many of those. They're like permanently damaged.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's true. I'm not if I'm a contender, I'm not looking to get pitchers out of Colorado. Yeah. In free agency, sure, cheap contract will give a guy a shot like a John Gray, but no, I'm not looking at any Colorado pitchers and saying these guys can maybe help us down the stretch.
Jeff Hoffman was brought up as an example, and ex-Red and ex-Rocky was the double whammy. I will say this: he was brought up as a starter. He became a reliever and was much better. It took 2 organizations for that to happen. It took a
long time. After he left Colorado, it took a couple just kind of not good years on the Reds, and then he went to the Phillies, and then it started to click. Like he did not leave Colorado and click.
No, I'm looking up John Gray because I just don't think he's had that. He's been hurt too many times for Texas to really say he's enjoyed the fruits of not being there. 396, 113, 412, 129, 447, 131 last year. He gets worse every year. This year he's been good in 2 outings, but he had that first year in Texas was pretty good in 2022. Even then, he only threw 127 innings, so I don't know if he got hurt then that year. And we're talking about pretty good. It's because of the WHIP, but the ERA was just 396. It's not like, Oh yeah, get him out of there. He's going to be great.
No, he hasn't. I just pulled him up. He has not been good at all since he left. So,
yeah. So yeah. I feel bad for Chase Dollander. I don't think he's ever going to be that good.
Me too. Very much so. Me too. Yeah.
It's a career ruiner.
Yeah.
That's I hate to see that there. Okay, the one omission. What if I told you there's a team that's above the Cardinals in the below the Cardinals in the wild card standings that we haven't listed?
So is that your Reds?
No, it is not.
That's okay.
This team has lost 4 in a row, so that's part of the reason.
The Giants.
It is the Giants.
Yes. I just feel like the Giants, I didn't put them on the sellers list because I just feel like they aren't going to sell. Do you think the Giants would sell?
No, I don't. They traded 4 Devers.
That's what I mean.
I just think that it's kind of funny that they're below the Cardinals, and yet we're not talking about them being out of it or anything.
Because some of this buyer and seller talk comes into like our knowledge of front offices and franchises and what they typically do at the deadline. And the Giants, they only wave their white flag when it's absolutely necessary. And this year it's not.
It's new management too. It's Buster Posey. Posey's not giving up.
Totally.
Yeah. I just think we had to mention them. So it's not even chastising you. It's more just like hey, this team's actually been pretty bad lately. And it's not just these last 4 games, guys. They've been bad for about 3-4 weeks now. They're 2 out of their last 10. They struggled going into the break. They struggled coming out of the break. They were a wild card team at one point in time. Now they're now down to 1 game over 500. So they've been pretty bad lately. And just thought, it's just and they have no pitchers left. And that's a good part of it there. They have money, but they don't have any pitchers. They have no arms left. And they don't really have the prospects to trade is the other problem. They can take on your bad contract. That they can do those sort of deals. I look at their farm system though, and they're not going to trade Bryce Eldridge. So take that out of the equation. You've got De Jesus Gonzalez, maybe, but so they go from number 13 prospect on James' list all the way down to 154.
Which makes sense for a team that's been buying a lot in the last few years and has been really
what have they bought?
I know. Some of the moves haven't been
the Adames trade. I think a lot of people, the Adames signing, a lot of people, prejudge that as a bad one. And maybe it'll be better eventually. But it certainly hasn't worked out very well. Kind of knew that the 21 stolen bases were an anomaly. The 32 homers, well, he had done 31 before, 24 before. He's at 15 right now. Maybe he'll get to 20, but that ballpark you knew was going to crush him a little bit there. It just, and he has been better lately. He was just so horrifically bad early on this season. Not just better lately. He's been good lately. He's got 4 of those homers in the last 21 days. So he's picking up, but still not a great sign.
Yeah, this is the team that I think should just sit. When I look at it was like when we talked about the Twins and the Guardians, like I look at this roster and I'm like, no, this isn't a team that's going to go on a run because like you said, it's Webb, Ray, and then there's nothing behind them. Like Justin Verlander.
And Webb hasn't been pitching well lately either.
Right. Like Justin Verlander, they brought up Wisenhunt, like Landon Root might not be out long. This team, it's not, they don't have it this year.
Yeah.
But they added Devers, and that's a long-term ad. Like he's gonna be on their team for years. Adames is gonna be on the team for years. Like, so sure. And they're an aggressive franchise. So keep the pieces, go into the off season and retool for next year.
Birdsong collapsing like they did is devastating.
Yes.
Like that was just horrible for me personally. In addition to the Giants, forget about the Giants. It was devastating to me. So that's all that matters. But no, that covers it, Fred. We got through all those teams, all the selling teams. No, not all heroes wear capes. We did it.
We did. Now it's time to sit back and see how many of our predictions come true in the next 48 hours.
See if we let's get some action. Let's get the popcorn going, see some trades, folks. That's going to wrap it up for the day. Big thanks to the NFFC for their sponsorship. Thursday, we're going to have 5 of RotoWire's analysts review the trade deadline. 7:45 Eastern time. Eric Halterman's hosting. I'll be part of it. James Anderson will be part of it. I think Clay Link is going to be on there. Maybe not Clay, maybe it's Todd Zola. I'm trying to track who's going to be there. It's a veritable medley of it. It's like the broadcast booth and the Naked Gun. It's going to be a lot of analysts in one booth. We're looking forward to it there. I know, Fred, you can't make it, but I'm sure you'll be riveted to at some point in time with us here giving our takes. Everybody, thanks for listening. Have a good day. Good luck on your trade deadline trades. Hopefully they work out in your favor. Please take care.